Every single month, I host a live healthcare leader to healthcare consultant masterclass. And I've been hosting this masterclass live for about the past 2 years or so, simply because I like to support and answer questions of healthcare leaders just like yourself who are interested in consulting and you need a little bit more support. But I understand you may not be able to attend my only one live event every single month. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the replay with you. And this is going to be extremely helpful for those of you who are interested in starting a healthcare consulting business. Enjoy. So happy that you're here. Let me know who you are, where you're from, and what specialty of healthcare do you currently work in. I'm Elle. I'm from Houston, Texas. Live in Houston, Texas. Have healthcare consulting clients all over the US. And we'll share a little bit about me, but I want to know a little bit more about you. I'm going to give it another minute and then we are going to get started. Let some more people join the room. I am such a fan of engagement. So there's also little emojis down here. I'm going to be sharing a lot of information with what looks like we have a room full of ladies, but I'm going to be sharing a lot of information with you ladies tonight, and I won't hold up too much of your time. I'm going to give it one more minute, and then we're going to get started. But let me know again where you're located and what is your specific role in healthcare. Are you a physician? Are you a nurse practitioner? Are you a nurse? Are you an administrator? Use this time also while we're on this masterclass to ask me questions. So if you are curious about consulting or even growing your consulting business, please use this time as we go through the slides to ask as many questions as possible. I am your consulting business advisor tonight. Okay, so I'm long-winded and I'm very passionate about this topic. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay. Alicia from Philly. My background is clinical medical assistant in healthcare administration. Very good. Welcome. Welcome, Alicia. And Paula is from Powder Springs, Georgia. Okay. All my calls today, Paula, the ladies were from Atlanta. Everybody was from Georgia today, except one. She was from Indianapolis. I had a client from Indianapolis today. And let's see, Barbara from Texas. I'm in Texas also. So happy to have you all here. I see we have some other consultants that have joined the room. Again, so happy that you're here. I'm going to go ahead and get started because we have a lot of information to cover. So we are doing the masterclass tonight, Healthcare Leader to Healthcare Consultant. As I mentioned, my name is Elle. I host these masterclasses only once per month because my schedule is quite busy and hectic as a healthcare consultant myself. And so I always like to make healthcare professionals aware of the vast opportunity in business to business consulting for healthcare professionals. So we're going to be learning a lot of information tonight. So again, use me as a resource. Oh, hey, Kim. Kim is from Atlanta also. I am a health information management consultant. I'm so happy that you're here, Kim. Kay from Alabama. Olivia from the UK. Welcome. Muna, okay, from Canada, clinical operational manager, would like to transition into strategy consulting. Oh, absolutely. You're very welcome. Be sure to take notes. So let's do some housekeeping before we get started. As I mentioned, I'm going to be sharing a lot of information with you that you may not be familiar with or have learned before. So I always encourage anyone who attends this masterclass to take notes. You can go onto our Facebook page and see everyone who comments about these master classes. I do share a lot of information, and I am an open book tonight. So I'm not just a healthcare consultant. I have a nursing background. So all of the information I'm sharing with you tonight, this was through trial and error and failing so many times, but acquiring large contracts in the process and really building up my own business and consulting. And so one thing I've learned is no one's talking about healthcare consulting. So all of the healthcare leaders and clinicians that you see who are burned out, no one knows this is an option. So we're going to cover all of that tonight and how you can start your own consulting firm yourself. As I mentioned, I am an open book. You can ask me any questions you desire. I do open up questions at the very end. I will scan the chat to kind of see exactly where we are and if anybody is stuck. Someone can't hear. Connie can't hear, but if you all can hear me, can you give me a thumbs up? Alicia, can you hear? Paula, can you hear? Can you hear? Can anybody hear? Okay. Okay. Others can hear. Alicia can hear. Okay. So Connie, I'm not quite sure. You may want to log out and log back in, Connie. Okay. So log out and log back in. Let me tell her. Log out and log back in. Okay. Hopefully that helps. The sound is distorted. I'm so sorry. If you guys are having issues, one thing that I can do, I normally don't send out the replay, but if you're having issues with sound, log out, log back in, and then I'll be sure to send those of you who attended, I'll send you a replay. Okay? Okay, so as I mentioned, ask questions. During this session, I am your consulting business advisor, and also complete the entire presentation. I do share a lot of resources, but I do have additional hidden resources that I only share with students that I mentor. I do have an appreciation bonus for you at the end if you stay until the very end, and also commit and take action. Right now in healthcare, we're at a pivotal time because we are essentially rebuilding our healthcare system. So if there's ever a time where you want to get paid for your expert insight, now is the time to do so. As I mentioned, I do have an appreciation bonus. And let me also say this, I've been on so many webinars where the entire presentation was about pitching something to me. I'm not that woman. So I'm not here to pitch you anything. I'm here to provide you with resources. So I want to make that very clear in the very beginning of this presentation. For those of you who stay until the end, I will give you complimentary access to my paid resources, okay? I always like to start here. You don't know what you're not exposed to, okay? Oftentimes, and as you all know, as healthcare professionals, our roles are very busy. It doesn't matter if you are in informatics, if you are a physician, if you're an administrator. When we clock into work, you hit the ground running and you do not stop. Once you clock out, you go home, you rest, you recover, and you go back to work again. And so, hold on, let me send Connie this message. Connie, I'll send you the replay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to send Connie the replay. Anyhow, so as I was saying, we oftentimes get so very busy, you don't have the time or the capacity to explore other options outside of your role or to even be exposed to what consultants do and how they absolutely partner with health systems and organizations. And so I found myself in this repetitive cycle. I was not privy to healthcare consulting until about 10 years ago. And before then, I was in my own little work silo, which was extremely unfortunate, but I'm also fortunate for the journey because every single role that I've been in healthcare, from nursing at the bedside to transitioning into a nursing leader, every single role has helped me become an even better consultant. So a few objectives that I want to share with you. I'm going to make sure we hit on all of these topics before you leave today. Number one, I'm going to make you aware of healthcare consulting and how you can launch your own firm. I'm also going to share some other ways in which you can start consulting if you don't necessarily want to start a business, but I want to make sure that you're aware of what a healthcare consultant is, what we do in our scope of practice, okay? The second thing we're going to talk about tonight is the opportunity, okay? As I mentioned, I'm always going to be an advocate for you to start your own healthcare consulting business because I know the value of these contracts, and to get paid your full value is something that we often do not get as healthcare professionals. I'm going to be honest. You will never be paid your full worth as an employee. But as a healthcare consultant, this is something that's absolutely negotiable. And I'm even going to share one of my largest contracts to date with you on this presentation. And then I'm also going to share with you, for those of you who are interested in starting your own consulting business and really getting paid for your expertise as an advisor, I'm going to share with you the step-by-step process on how to get started. So as I mentioned, you definitely want to take notes. And I'm also going to share additional resources with you. So if you're like, Elle, 100%, I know I'm the expert. I've been doing this for years. Please share additional resources. So I'm going to share that with you as well. So I can talk about consulting all day, but I do want to share a little bit about myself. And as I mentioned, I want to get to know you all as well here tonight. But my name is Elle Pearson. I'm a healthcare consultant with a nursing background. I'm a mother, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm all the things. I had my first TEDx, for those of you who do watch TEDx, I had my first TEDx talk in November of 2021, or no, November of 2020. Time is escaping me, but that was such an amazing experience. And I was able to share my journey from nurse to healthcare consultant on my TED Talk. And I've been in nursing leadership for it'll be 17 years in 2022. And I'm also the principal consultant of the Reputation Advisors, which is my consulting firm here in Houston, Texas. I do have clients all over the US, and you can have clients all over the US as well. A lot of the work that I do these days is virtual based, so I don't have to go to organizations to facilitate trainings like I used to. And every consultant you'll learn has their own unique specialty, and we'll talk about this as well. My unique specialty in healthcare consulting has everything to do with my passion for service recovery and brand experience, and really helping healthcare organizations with a reputation strategy and a patient relation strategy. So, it kind of revolves around patient experience, but dives a little bit deeper into how relationships really impact the reputation of the organization and how we can preserve those relationships, which is a big deal. And there's a lot of money that's generated because of that. And I've been a consultant for the past 7 years. And throughout my journey, I've really been documenting my systems and processes. And I just really thought to myself, I've been big on investing in my business, but there's never been any resources for healthcare consulting. And so I decided that, you know what, I'm going to write a book about this and just share how other consultants can start their business and really just be a steward, a good steward, and give back to those who work so hard like you all, and just share what I've done. So hopefully you enjoy this presentation tonight. Again, take notes. Please take notes. Okay, so a question I get asked often is, Elle, how did you start your firm? I started my firm, and you probably can relate to this also. The healthcare is a challenge industry, right? I was always coming up with initiatives and solutions on the job. I just didn't know that I was consulting on the job essentially for free. But I went to a conference here in Houston. I met this lovely lady who we're friends still to this day, and she opened up her business model to me. And it was so interesting because she herself didn't have any frontline clinical experience or experience working in the hospital setting. However, she went to school, she got her undergraduate, and she got her graduate degree in healthcare business administration. And from there, she went directly into consulting. She opened up her business model, and I was like, okay, you're solving the same problems that myself and other leaders will essentially complain about. But she was getting paid like double and triple our salaries to be able to solve the same problems that we were complaining about, and we often introduce solutions for. And so she said, Elle, why don't you start your own consulting firm? You're already doing the work. You're already working on initiatives. You just might as well be paid for it. And I said, you know what? All I need is a challenge. You challenge me, and I'm going to move forth with it. And so that's exactly what happened. I never approached my job the same. I never approached all the resources around me the same. It just really shifted my mindset to new possibilities. And so from there, I decided, okay, I'm going to take all of those initiatives and use them as my own body of work as case studies to be able to help other healthcare organizations. So I want to challenge you to think about, okay, hearing my story about how I got started. How many initiatives have you started on the job? How many times have you been a resource in the job and you were actually consulting? So these are just a few of some of the clients that I have. And I want to share this with you. There's nothing new that I had to learn to work with. A lot of my clients are urgent cares. I do have some health systems under my belt, but there's nothing new that I had to learn. Remember, I told you I had a background in nursing leadership. So whenever there was an issue or a problem when it came to service recovery, they called me. I was the one to recover those relationships and follow up with parents and family members and patients. So anytime there's a client has reached out to me and said, "Oh, I have this particular problem, I need your help," I'm like, no problem. I've just pulled from my experience. I pull from my years of nursing leadership to be able to provide them with a solution to get a result. So again, I want you to think about, okay, how many times have I provided a solution to get a result on the job? Can anybody relate to that? Can you relate to providing solutions? Someone comes to you for questions? Just think about that. Can you agree? Alicia says yes. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate you. Paula says every day, all the time. Muna says yes. Kim says yes. Absolutely. All the time, you are already the resource. And so I didn't have to learn anything new. I didn't have to go back to school to obtain yet another degree, right? I'm very passionate about certifications and education if it can help me get a faster result for my clients. But at the end of the day, I learned nothing new. My largest contract to date is with NYC Health and Hospitals. I'm going to share with you that amount at the very end. So, but again, these are just a few of the many clients that I have, but just wanted to share that with my background, with not having, I didn't go to sales school. I didn't go to school for marketing. Like, no, I wasn't a nursing leader with solutions to be able to help organizations. And so I'm not alone. These are just a few of the students that I've helped along my journey. I won't go into everybody's story individually, but I will say Taylor, he's holding my book, The Power of Expertise. Taylor is from Louisiana, okay? And this is an awesome testimony because he's so amazing and so smart. Taylor came to me already as a healthcare consultant. He had a nursing background. He's in quality and infection control. He started in Louisiana. We worked together for some time. He was in my program. Taylor has contracts all over the US now. And I'm so proud of him. He's done so well. And again, just utilizing what he learned on the job and really just partner with organizations to help them accomplish the same objectives and missions. Kim is amazing. She's a healthcare wellness and retention consultant. Last year, she got I believe she got a contract with HealthStream. For those of you familiar with HealthStream, HealthStream is an educational platform that partners with health systems to provide educational resources for staff. She was able to partner with them and obtain a contract, which was a huge deal. And Shanique was amazing. She's a maternal quality consultant, has booked plenty of speaking engagements in April. I want to share April with you because she was able to acquire a contract last year in which she was able to replace her entire salary as a nursing leader. She's a renal consultant, but she works with corporate accounts only. So these are just a few healthcare professionals who identify their expertise, their zone of genius, and was able to move forth with the consulting business model. So it's absolutely possible. It's just really about identifying your zone of genius. Okay, Olivia says for friends, family, coworkers, and foes. Muna says, do you have a LinkedIn group so we can connect with other consultants? Yeah, I do have a LinkedIn group, but I would say, Muna, if you're on Facebook, the Facebook group is more active. We're called the Healthcare Consultant Masterminds, okay? We're called the Healthcare Consultant Masterminds. And I'm going to drop the link to my book here because Taylor actually was featured in my book. He wrote a section about his experience as a healthcare consultant. So I'm going to drop that link there. And but I want to get to know a little bit more about you all here tonight so I can be able to provide you with some directions. So what brings you here tonight? I'm just curious to know what brings you here. Is it because you're looking for alternative options? Are you burned out and you're looking for additional, ways in which you don't have to be burned out? You can still give back to healthcare. Are you looking for flexibility in your scheduling? What brings you here tonight? Alicia says, yeah, we support one another in the Facebook group. Absolutely. Alicia, I'm so happy that you're a part of the group. That group, I share some amazing resources. If you look through, if you go deep into the threads, Alicia, there's some gems. There's some gems. Barbara says she's here to gain information about consulting. Oh, so happy that you're here. Kay gives me a laugh. Basically all of the above. Okay, Kay, we're going to get to the juicy stuff. Get your notes out. I'm done working with health authority due to politics. Oh, that sounds very familiar. I just want to do my work, provide value without being, stuck with all the politics. I know. But listen, let me tell you this. Muna. At the end of the day, there's politics even in consulting, but you're not having to deal with it all the time because you will still have to have conversations with healthcare leaders and healthcare executives. So it's just a way you have to finesse that relationship and really flip it to work for your benefit, opposed to having to be an employee. It's different when you're able to consult and just be a resource. Okay. But yeah, Alicia says, I'm looking for help in obtaining clients. What are the best practices in seeking clients? Alicia, I'll get into detail about that towards the end. So just let me jot that down, clients, because that's a whole master class. But I'll give you a quick strategy to utilize for just getting started. As a matter of fact, I do kind of go over that. I'm looking to subcontract with you in the future. Oh, I have subcontractors on my team. Okay, well, happy to know a little bit about you all. Let me just say that everything that you see here are all the reasons why I decided to move forth in consulting. Once I learned about consulting, I learned that I could be valued for my expertise. And then I could also not even maintain my lifestyle, but bring in more money. And it's not just about money. I'm able to evolve an entire health system opposed to only working for one facility. So the power in consulting, period, if you are in healthcare because you desire to make impact in other people's lives, like you get a chance to do this or do that on a wider scale, on a wider capacity. So there's just so many pros. There's cons, but there's just so many pros that you just would be crazy not to say, I don't even want to consider consulting, or I don't even want to consider subcontracting. I know my value and I haven't been properly compensated. Oh, Paula, I understand. So let's move forward. My question to you now is, how many of you have ever written policies and procedures for your place of work? How many of you have ever written policies and procedures? Muna says a lot. Okay, let me ask you this, Muna, and anybody else who wants to chime in. How many times have you orientated someone new on the job? How many times have you orientated someone new on the job? Okay, policies and procedures, that's process improvement consulting. It could also be many different types of consulting. I've created an onboarding program a lot. Okay. If you created policies and procedures, if you've orientated a new employee, guess what? That's called leadership development. If you've helped, how many of you have helped an organization prepare for joint commission or any type of specialized certification or accreditation program? Anybody help with me? Alicia says, Muna says, wow. Kim, anything for you? Okay. Have you guys ever done any of these things? Or let me just ask you this. Have you ever been a resource? Has anyone on the job said, hey, Barbara, I have a question. Can you help me? Can you help me figure it out? Kay says yes. Olivia says yes. Barbara says yes many times. Okay, let me share this with you. Lean into this. And if you don't take anything else away from what I'm sharing with you tonight, take this away. If anyone has asked you for advice on the job and you've given them with clear advice, direction, guidance, advisorship based off of your experience, if you've written policies, if you've created an onboarding program, if you've helped with accreditation, certification, magnet status, magnet designation, my friends, you were consulting. So, listen, you were consulting. You aren't new to this. I'm just making you aware that you've been a consultant. I'm definitely the go-to person. If you are the resource person, if you are the go-to person, whatever your role is today, I want you to put /healthcare consultant. Because as a consultant, guess what? I'm an expert advisor. Someone comes to me for advice. I provide them with my recommendations. They get a result. I've consulted. I now do that with healthcare organizations. You're doing with healthcare organizations on the job. You are a consultant. How many years have you been in healthcare? Alicia, Paula, Kim, Barbara, Kay, Muna, how many years have you been in healthcare? Whoever has the most amount of years in healthcare, I'll send you my book. I'll drop the link where you can send your email address, and I'll send you a copy of my book, The Power of Expertise, which walks you through all of this and it dives way deeper. Okay, let's see. Paula has 22 years. Wow. 22 years. Paula, why are you not a consultant? If you're new to consulting, Paula, you should have been consulting 15 years ago. It's definitely time. Paula, so you've won because you have the most amount of experience out of everybody here. So Paula, do me a favor. I'm going to type in my email address. I want you to send your address and just type in masterclass winner. Type in masterclass winner for the subject. Put your mailing address, and I'll put you a copy of my book, The Power of Expertise, in the mail in the morning time. Okay. So what I want you to do with that, Paula, is I want you to use it. I want you to use it, and I want you to start consulting. You're very welcome. Anything to help. Okay, so let's dive into this because, as I mentioned, we can keep on going on and on about consulting. So I want you to be very clear on what we do. So a formal definition of a consultant is an expert advisor. That's really the first step to starting any kind of consulting firm or even subcontracting as a consultant. You have to acknowledge the fact that you are an expert. So if you have 22, 18 years of experience, 17 years of experience, 19 years, Alicia, this month, you have to acknowledge that you are an expert. Okay? You are an expert, and the organization that partners with you as a healthcare consultant is in need of some type of guidance. They have a problem, they have a challenge they can't solve on their own. So they partner with us as expert advisors to help them modify what's not working or introduce solutions. Okay? Simple. Does that make sense? So now if anybody asks you, oh, you're a healthcare consultant, I'm just looking at, I'm a problem solver. I solve problems for healthcare organizations and I get paid my true value. So we're experts, okay? I, for a very long time, again, as I mentioned, didn't know about consulting. Someone opened up their business model to me. But normally what we do is when we learn about something new, we immediately go to the internet. At that time, there was really no information on the internet. And even if you go and type in consulting now, what comes up is legal nurse consulting. Legal, that's not a bad area to go into. However, one thing I had to learn was, and my dear friend helped me figure this out as well, is whatever you are the most competent in, the specialty that you are most passionate about, you can consult in that area. So if you've helped for 10 years this organization with, let's say, compliance or risk management or patient experience, you started those initiatives, you can consult in any area where you are the most competent and have the most skill and experience. Okay. So we'll talk about that as well. But here's the opportunity. And I love talking about this because, again, it's all about making you aware, okay, and sharing opportunities with you. So I'm a true advocate for you to move forth in consulting. Number one, because you've already been doing it. So it just makes sense for you to move forth and say, I either want to subcontract on the side and bring in some extra money, or I really want to do this. I'm going to work my job and I'm going to consult until my consulting income replaces my full-time income. It's absolutely possible. You can do it. There is low entry, which is one reason why I'm an advocate. And what does that mean? Low entry means there's not a lot that you need to get started. In the very beginning of the presentation, I mentioned to you that all the clients that I didn't have to learn anything new. There was no special training course. There was no special degree I had to go back and get. My MBA is great, but it didn't teach me how to become a consultant. What taught me how to become a consultant is solving problems on the job for, my gosh, since how many years? It's been a long time, for 17 years. So that's where I learned how to become a consultant. So it's low entry. There's not a lot of overhead money that or cash flow that you need to get started. And it's also highly profitable. So whatever you're making on your job right now, that's a contract. So I want you to take what you make, because that's a whole contract, depending on the workload that you're going to be providing and the problem you're going to be solving for your client. And think about how many clients you would like. Multiply that. Let's say you want 5 clients by the end of the year. Take your salary, multiply that by 5. Is it possible? Yes. As I mentioned, I'm going to share with you how much my largest contract was. Okay. And also, it's a lean business model. So I work for my home office. I have subcontractors that work with me, but ultimately, I don't have a huge team, and I do very well. Initially, in the beginning of my business, I thought I needed to have this office space and all of the things. No, you're solving problems. I've been working virtually and facilitating trainings virtually. I'm able to provide strategy virtually. It's a business model in which I am very happy to share, and hopefully you would embrace it as well, simply because you don't need all the things to get started. I have my laptop, I have my Zoom, I have my CRM system. My business doesn't require a lot to do what I do, which is provide knowledge and insight to my clients that work with me. And there's also unlimited cash flow options. You're probably wondering, well, what do I mean by unlimited cash flow options? I'm going to share with you in a later slide. There are multiple ways to get paid as a consultant. Number one, you get paid for your advice. I don't give out advice for free. That's why I told you, please ask me all the questions on this presentation, because I'm a consultant. I know my value. And so once you step into your value, you will do the same thing. You get paid for your advice. You get paid for doing audits for organizations. If an organization wants an assessment, you get paid for your assessments, for your recommendation. You get paid to speak, facilitate trainings. There are so many ways for you to produce cash flow from different revenue streams as a consultant. And someone remind me, there's even a passive way I've been able to generate revenue for my consulting firm. So if you want to know about that, ask me when we get to the FAQs, and I'll share that hack with you as well. Okay, so there's so many different ways to make money. However, as I mentioned before, I'm an advocate for you to start your business as a healthcare consultant. You don't have to start full time. You can start with one client and build your clientele until you can replace your income. That's called having an exit strategy. So I think it was Muna who said, I am tired of the politics. Well, Muna, there's an exit strategy that you can implement as a healthcare consultant to just do away with it altogether. But for those of you who are like, you know what, Elle, I love what you've done with your business model, but for me, I know I like the security of just having a job. And that's fine. Not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur, because as a healthcare consultant with my own business, I'm an entrepreneur. You can also subcontract, okay, if you just want to get some experience under your belt. And subcontracting means You identify other consulting firms and you reach out to that consulting firm, probably the principal consultant, and say, hey, I love what you're doing. I have experience in this specialty in healthcare. I'm very open to subcontracting opportunities with your firm. Okay, that's how you can get some additional experience. If you're kind of hesitant, you want to learn a little bit more about the industry. Or I also want to let you all know, who here has heard of press gaming? Have you guys heard of press gaming? If you're in healthcare, you've heard of press gaming. Okay. Sandra says yes. Okay. Alicia, did you guys know Press Ganey is a whole consulting firm? Did you guys know that? As a matter of fact, Joint Commission also has consultants. Yes, Alicia, Press Ganey will hire you. And listen, go onto their website later. Go onto Press Ganey's website and you will see all the different subcategories of consulting. They have patient experience, process improvement, and there are some other sub niches where they offer consulting, but they have job opportunities to consult with them. So not only will they help organizations get their patient experience together and give them their scoring, it's a whole consulting firm. Joint Commission has consultants also. Yes, Alicia. So go check that out. So again, as I mentioned, I'm always going to be an advocate for you to get paid and compensated your full value. But there's career opportunities in consulting, there's subcontracting opportunities in consulting, and you also can start your own firm as a healthcare consultant, okay? So I just want you to take in that information. Take in that information. How are you going to use your years of experience? If your job isn't working out for you anymore, and you've acquired all this experience, and you're like, you know what, I'm tired, I'm burned out, I feel underappreciated, there are options, okay? Okay, Muna says, do you need to have an RN license to be a healthcare consultant? No, you do not. No. That's my background. My background experience is as I've worked as a registered nurse for years, as a nursing leader for years. That's my experience. Any healthcare professional, okay? Remember, Muna, we're taking your experience on the job, what you've learned throughout the years and in schooling. You've been a problem solver on the job. You're taking all that experience and you're applying it to help other organizations. You don't have to specifically be a nurse. You could be a doctor. You could be a dentist. You could be a healthcare administrator. Heck, if you were a unit secretary and you had a process improvement workflow that you wanted to share with another hospital, guess what you could do? You could be a unit secretary and still take that same knowledge about process improvement and help them improve a process. Okay, let's see. Alicia says, nope, I was doing process improvement policy writing as a medical assistant with led me to administration, now consulting. See, Muna, connect with Alicia. Alicia, you are on it, girl. I'm so proud of you. That's a journey worth being so proud of, because healthcare is just full of opportunities. So consulting is just another powerful one. So again, unlimited cash flow options. So as I mentioned, we had some objectives that we're checking off tonight. We're going to talk about awareness. So now you are aware that you've been consulting for free, right? Now you're aware of consulting. I've shared the opportunities with you, whether you want to apply for a job, subcontract, or start your own firm. So now, Alicia, connect with me on LinkedIn also if we're not already connected. So now let's get into how you start your firm. So for those of you who are like, Elle, give me the juicy stuff. Like, what do I need to do? First, second, third. Like, how do I make this happen? Now is the time, if you haven't already, start taking notes. I'm going to walk you through what I call the healthcare consultant formula, how you can take all of your years of healthcare experience and really monetize that. Okay. Paula, I do a lot of project management in healthcare IT, which includes a lot of process improvement and workflow gap analysis. Oh my gosh, Paula. Oh my gosh, Paula, are you, let's see. Let me go back and check. Paula, didn't you get the book? Yes, Paula, 22 years? Girl. It's okay, you're here. And we've now met each other. So everything changes from this point forth. Remember, I told you my good friend, once she said, "Elle, why aren't you consulting?" That's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear. And my life was never the same. I never walked into work the same. I always walked into work looking for problems and how I could solve them and what resources and why. I need rationale. Your mind will work totally different when you go back to work. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about the healthcare. And I am revenue cycle. Hey, you all are rock stars. Listen, I need everybody to connect with me on LinkedIn. You're all rock stars. I'll share a little bit more how you can take that. Oh my gosh, you guys are just amazing. Such great experience in this room. So happy to be able to share this with you so you can really do something with it outside of what you normally do. So if you already haven't started taking notes, this is the part where I would absolutely advise you to take notes. So I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step process, okay? And remember, the very first thing I did tell you to do was acknowledge that you are the expert. That's going to be so important because there's a certain amount of confidence you need to bring to the table when you're having conversations with leaders, when you're bringing up challenges and problems that need to be addressed. And only an expert can be able to solve those types of problems and have those types of conversations. So you really have to step into your expertise and acknowledge that, wow, with all of my years of revenue cycle, management experience, yes, I am equipped. I have the knowledge to solve problems in this specialty. So you've acknowledged that you are the expert. The next thing you want to do is specialty exploration. Really taking the time to understand and acknowledge, hey, Barbara, happy that you're back. Really taking the time to really explore your background, explore your certifications, your degrees, and most importantly, your experience, and identify the area of consulting that you want to move forward in as an expert. So for me, I was a nursing leader. However, I was very passionate about service recovery. So I was the driver in many service recovery and patient relations initiatives. Any way to make the hospital do better when it came to that area, that was just my jam. I did well. I knew how to recover relationships really quickly. And here's the key thing, there was money tied into it. So if there was a relationship that was able to be recovered, there's a whole patient experience aspect and reputation recovery aspect to that, where I was able to save the hospital a lot of money. Okay, so think about all of your years of experience, right? Think about all of the areas in which you've been passionate about. Okay, what area do you want to move forward in as a consultant? Another great resource is my book, and let me tell you why. I break down all of the different specialties and all the deliverables that you can offer and the problems that that specialty is currently having. So let's say, for example, you may be interested in operations. You may be interested in have experience in patient experience. You may be experienced in quality, infection control, DEI. I mean, the list goes on. There's so many specialties in healthcare, but the key is to really lean into what are you the most confident and competent when it comes to giving someone advice in which they can implement and then get a result. That's what's really key. So think about all your years of experience, how you've helped organizations, how they've used you on the job to be able to get a result. What were you doing? So I really want you to think about that. The consultants that do really well, again, I leaned into my experience. So lean into your experience to help you identify the area that you need to move forward in as a consultant. And let me say this, I'm going to give you some advice here. There's many problems in healthcare, okay? As healthcare consultants, we solve expensive problems. The more expensive problem you solve, the more money you're going to get paid. You don't want to solve every single problem. If you're solving every single problem and you're not specific with the problem you solve, you will not be seen as the expert. And when it comes down to it, if I've acquired a client and I need someone, let's say in revenue cycle management, like Kay, if Kay does revenue cycle consulting, if she does patient experience consulting, if she helps implement telemedicine best practices, if she does all the things, would I send a referral to Kay? No, because I'm confused on what problem she truly solves. She does too much. I'm confused. So you want to make sure you're very clear on the specialty that you're moving forth in as a healthcare consultant. So the second thing you want to do is identify any challenges within that specialty. As I mentioned, the best consulting specialties solve expensive problems, right? We solve expensive problems within that specialty. So you want to think about, where are the challenges within the specialty? Here's something I want you to think about. Healthcare is heavily regulated. Healthcare is heavily regulated. Say it one more time. Healthcare is heavily regulated. It's regulated by Joint Commission. It's regulated by the FDA, the DEA, HIPAA, the list goes on. There are a lot of things that need to be in place that aren't in place, and it turns into a challenge. Organizations will lose money because they haven't implemented best practices, compliance guidelines. I mean, the list goes on, okay? So as you are exploring what specialty you want to go into, once you've identified the specialty that you want to move forward in, you want to think about, what are all the challenges within this specialty? And let me throw a key word in here, and I want you to remember this. Costly. What are the costly challenges within my specialty? That's the key word, okay? So if any of you who are already consultants, any of you who work with leaders, or maybe you are a leader, what moves you to make a decision? What moves you to make something a priority when you're losing money? If you can identify costly challenges within your specialty, you will do very well as a healthcare consultant. Am I making sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense to you. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense to you. Okay, perfect. Kim says yes. Sandra says yes. Perfect. Muna says yes. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are solving costly problems. Otherwise, when it comes to, I think it was Alicia that asked about clients, getting clients. Okay, my question to you would be, are you solving a costly problem? Because you will be chasing contracts if you are not solving a costly problem. And we don't want to chase clients. We want clients to chase us, okay? Okay, so you've identified that you're the expert. You know what specialty you want to move forward in. You know the costly challenges in that specialty. Now we're going to identify the clients we want to work with, we desire to work with. Listen, I was talking to someone today, and we're talking about all of the various healthcare facilities that you can work with as a healthcare consultant. Are you guys ready? You have to write this down. I may need some help, because I want you to really lean into the abundance of this world that nobody's talking about. But let's see, how many is here tonight? There's 10 of you here tonight. I want you to lean into this. It's an intimate group of us, so we can really dive deep into who needs help. Every single healthcare organization that exists here in the US and internationally, there's international contracts I grab. Every single healthcare organization that exists, there's 11 people here now who came at the right time. Every healthcare organization that exists has standards, best practices, things that need to be implemented. As I mentioned, it's heavily regulated. There is not one healthcare organization that exists that's not regulated. Let's talk about the type of clients you can work with, okay? I may need your help. I'm going to list them off. I'm going off the top of my head, but give me some help in the chat. So who can you work with as a healthcare consultant? You have large hospital systems. You have community hospitals who need a lot of support. Community hospitals need a lot of support. You have urgent cares. You have private practice physicians. You have sleep centers. You have imaging centers. You have long-term care facilities and nursing homes. You have dialysis facilities, ambulatory surgical centers. Now you have a whole marketplace of retailers who are jumping into healthcare, like your Walmarts, your Amazons, your CVS's. Who else? Name another healthcare facility. Did I go through the list? I need to make like an actual list and go through them. Did you guys get all that? Were you writing it down? You have your urgent cares, your community hospitals, your large health systems, your ambulatory surgical centers, your long-term care facilities, retirement homes, insurance companies, skilled nursing facilities. Kay says you covered it pretty well. Pharmacies, Sandra, yes, I recently sent an email about pharmacies, nonprofit organizations. Yes. So do you see the abundance? ABA programs. Kay, what's an ABA program, Kay? Nursing agencies. And listen, tech companies. Do you know how many tech companies are now partnering with healthcare organizations because they are now in the innovative space? So it's not even just healthcare. You have other organizations outside of healthcare as well. So I'm not sure if any of you have experience in the OSHA space or occupational health space. There's listen, if you guys are not ready to grab these dollars, you're leaving money on the table. I can't solve listen, I'm gonna tell you this here. I can't solve all the problems in healthcare. I'm one consultant. One thing I know, there's not a lot of me. There's not a lot of us, because now you're healthcare consultants too. We already talked about that. There's not a lot of us. There's lots of companies that need help. Aren't we rebuilding healthcare? Public health. So we went through a lot. We went through a large list. So when I say you've identified the challenges in your specialty, now you need to go through, okay, where are all the organizations? I've listed those organizations. Who needs the most help? Who has a limited leadership team? I didn't say a limited budget, because we're not cheap. But who has a limited leadership team where they need an expert available to help them with resources? Okay, think about that. Specialty in applied behavioral and analysis services. Oh, that's interesting, Kay. I learned something new through you all too. I appreciate that. Especially applied behavioral analysis. Mental health facilities. I didn't mention that. That's a big deal these days. Applied behavior. I'm taking notes, Kay. Analysis. Okay, services. Interesting. Thank you, Kay. Okay, so now we've talked about all of the healthcare facilities that you could potentially partner with. Now you need to identify who needs the most help. Who needs to have an expert available? Okay, yes, telemedicine's big too. Telemedicine's huge. Rural hospitals, yes. So now we've talked about, we're going on. You guys are on a roll. Hopefully take notes. Take notes. These are all the facilities that you can work with. It's called abundance. Abundance and contracts. There's not a lot of us. There's a lot of them. Okay. So now we talk about solution identification. You've identified the problem in the organization. You know your specialty already. So now it becomes, what can we offer them? What are the deliverables and solutions that we can offer organizations? How can we get paid? Remember, I already told you that as far as healthcare consulting, I am an advocate for you to move forth with your own consulting business, because I want you to what? Reap all the compensation. Build your own consulting team. What can you offer? Remember, you're offering your expertise, number one. So you don't go into an organization and just give advice for free. No, we don't do that. You go in, you do your assessment, you get paid for your assessment. You give recommendations, you get paid for your recommendations. Do you want to host or facilitate a training every quarter or biannually for a leadership team or a staffing team? You get paid for facilitation. Do you want to develop policies and procedures or go through and do mock audits for the organization? Is that what they need? Then you offer that. I want to remind you that as a healthcare consultant, we have to understand what our clients need. So you essentially want to lay out your offerings and create your offerings, whether you're going to be a speaker, facilitate trainings, provide manuals for compliance manuals and workflows, all of those things, or maybe you just want to provide strategy and insight. You want to create your offerings, but always remember, every client is a little bit different. You're going to have a conversation with your prospects and clients to really understand what they need. When you understand what they need, you can always go back and customize your solutions. Okay. Recently, I have placed a lot of organizations on a retainer. So whether the project is already done and they just don't want to fall back into bad ways, they want to be proactive and just have an expert on call. I am that expert available on call. Okay, so that's how I can create a retainer every single month. Sometimes they don't need me, sometimes they need me, but it's a retainer every single month just to be an expert and be available. Who's going to turn down $2,500, $5,000 a month just to be on a retainer? That's paying somebody's mortgage. Okay, like lean into that. Also, once the project is done, I normally do offer a retainer. But if that's all that you want to offer, is just having, being an expert who's on call, especially for those of you who are in infection control. Oh my gosh. Like, you just want to make sure you're thinking of all the ways in which you can support the organization. If there's a way in which you can provide support to the organization, I didn't say do all the work, but if there's a way you can provide support to the organization, that's a way for you to get compensated as a healthcare consultant. As it relates to doing all the work, that's called implementation support. What you'll find as you start working with clients is they are able to receive your advice, receive your recommendations, but a lot of organizations who don't have a vast leadership team, they may not have an implementation team. So you can be that for that organization. Any organization I partner with and they need implementation support, I charge them more because now I have to build a team, whether it's project managers or other subcontractors, and now we have to be able to implement the solutions. That costs a lot, okay? So those are the things that you can offer and get paid for as a healthcare consultant, okay? Now, this is the very last step. We've covered a lot, so does everybody understand thus far? Because we're on our very last step. If you're interested in starting your healthcare consulting business. You good? Kim says yes. Okay, perfect. Alicia says yes. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Now we get to validation. Here's one thing I don't like to waste. I don't like to waste my time. Time is an invaluable resource. I can't get my time back. So, and I don't want you to waste your time either. You want to make sure that if you want to go forth in consulting, you've identified your specialty, you've done all the market research in regards to identifying the challenge, all of these, you've done all the things. You want to start your business. I'm excited for you, but you need to validate that there's a market. Do not start this business without validating that there is a market. So how do you validate if there's a market? And Alicia, I want you to lean into this because you asked me about acquiring contracts. And so I want you to tune in because this is what I still do to this day, okay? Validation is important. Even though I've validated my consulting offer, one thing you can do for validation is you need to do market research and look at other consulting firms. It doesn't have to be a nurse consulting firm, but look at other consulting firms who exist. If one person's doing business, guess what? There's business out there. But you need to dive deep into the market research as it relates to diving deep into what are the service offerings of other consulting firms in your niche. What are they offering? What are they not offering? What are the gaps in their offerings? Who are they serving? Remember, we went through a whole list of not consulting, but healthcare facilities. One consulting firm, several consulting firms cannot service all of healthcare here in the US or even internationally. It's just impossible. It's impossible. So one way to validate if there is a market is you want to make sure that there's other consulting firms in your specialty. If there's not, go back to the costly challenges. Is the problem you're solving costly? The best way to validate is to have conversations with leaders. Many of you have been in healthcare for 17, 18 years, 22 years. Through your time as a healthcare professional, you have acquired relationships. Lean into relationships. Relationships will equate to contracts if you know how to have the right conversations. Again, Alicia, lean into this. The key way to validate your offering is to have conversations with your warm network of leaders who are decision makers. Okay? Lean into your warm network. Your warm network are those who know, like, and trust you because you've been building relationships for years. Hopefully, Hopefully you kept in contact with that previous colleague who's now the VP or the CEO or the CNO of a hospital. I have friends in high places with all those years of experience. You do too. Lean into them. They're decision makers, and you need to ask them for feedback. You say, hey, Jill, so happy to reconnect with you. I got a question. I just need your feedback. I'm thinking about going into consulting, or I'm thinking about expanding my consulting solutions. This is what I'm thinking about offering because I've noticed that a lot of hospitals are having problems with supply chain management. I have some ideas, just want your feedback. Jill gives you her feedback. She's either going to say, you know what? We don't have anything like this. That's amazing. Boom, there's your gateway. So for those of you who are like, oh, clients, listen, Alicia also, I don't think I have the link, but there's a sales and marketing course I'm going to be offering. I'm revamping all the coursework, but you need to stay in contact with me so you can get that. But that's just one strategy that I use, because you need to really tap into your warm connections. Okay. Does that make sense? So if you validate the right way, you can almost always guarantee a contract. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Don't believe it's hard, because once you start believing it's hard, it's hard. It's not that hard to have conversations with those who know, like, and trust you. It's not that hard. Okay? Wonderful. Okay, this is the contract I was telling you about. My largest contract to date, $144,000. More than I made as a nursing leader. To do what? To come in and implement service recovery solutions. Didn't have to get training. Pulled it from my experience. I pulled it from all the conversations that I had with angry parents and how I was able to recover them. I pulled it from my experience. Okay? From my experience. Largest contract to date. So my question to you is, why not you? You've already told me you've been on the job for all of these years. You've done all the things to solve problems. Why can't you get paid to introduce solutions to other organizations where you're solving the same problems that you did when you were on the job? You're already consulting, right? You were already consulting. So some questions that I hear quite often are around business roadblocks. You guys are able to identify that you are an expert, that you have been solving problems on the job, but here are some of the common roadblocks that I hear. Like, what are the steps to getting started? I already shared that with you. How do I get my first client? I already shared that with you. You need to validate and have conversations with leaders. How do I determine my rates? It's in my book. I have formulas for you. How do I market? I also have marketing strategies in my book. It's there for you. How do I set up my CRM system? How do I connect with the decision maker? How do I find out who is the right decision maker? How do I build my authority and credibility? Like, there's so many questions around business that even I had to figure it out, you guys. And so because of that, that's why I created the Healthcare Consultant Network, because I wanted resources for healthcare consultants that were not available. And so if you identify with any of these roadblocks, I want you to lean into the resources that I have inside the Healthcare Consultant Network. Okay, it's the only resource that'll help you launch and scale. Now, as I mentioned, I'm not here to sell you anything. I want you to be aware of what I have available, because at the end of the day, I always get messages saying, Elle, I need some help. I need some guidance. So I want to show you where to get help and guidance in the future. Okay, so we talked about awareness. We talked about the opportunity. I walked you through the steps. Now here are the resources. So the Healthcare Consulting Academy, inside of the Academy, there's courses, which I'm revamping all the courses, but from business, what do we have in there? There's so much information, you guys. It's a lot. There's a sales and marketing course. There's a healthcare consultant blueprint course. There's a course on building your team as you're building subcontractors and your assistants and so forth. There's a course on just about anything you could ever need as a healthcare consultant. I also have contracts in there. A huge way in which we get paid is through speaking engagement. So if you don't have an attorney just yet, You can go in there, you can pull my contracts for speakers. You can pull my contracts for your own contracts when you partner with organizations. There's verbiage when I send out my emails. So verbiage when it comes to scripting, if you're sending out a cold emails, your warm emails, what all that looks like. And I also offer support. Anyone that has questions about their business, whether you purchase an individual course or whether you just say, Elle, I just need support, I just need coaching altogether or mentorship altogether, you can always go inside of our private community, which isn't on Facebook. Facebook is good, but I always go deeper inside of our private community. But you can always go there and ask questions. My program isn't for everybody. My program is really for those consultants who are like, I am ready to start my consulting business. I'm ready to get paid for my expertise. I'm ready to seek out the support and really collapse time and partner with someone who's already been there and done that. And so let me share what we offer. We have individual courses. So stay connected with me. That way I can, as I'm revamping all the coursework, and I'm glad there's a couple of us, a private group of us here, as I'm revamping these courses, because I decided to kind of remove a lot of the information, stay tuned and connected to your emails, because I'm going to be looking for beta students. So I'm going to be giving the betas a huge discount. So stay connected as I'm revamping those. My goal is to have all of that released by the beginning of, actually by the end of this month. All of them should be released. So stay connected with me. So if you just need an individual course, that information will be there. You can purchase an individual course. I also have a consultant business bundle where if you want all the courses, you can purchase all the courses and you have access to the private community for support. And then October, I'm not taking coaching clients right now. I do have coaching clients that work with me, but I won't be opening up coaching programs until October of 2022. My workload for myself is just too busy right now. As I mentioned, I'm not just a business advisor for healthcare consultants, but I also have my own firm, and that just trying to balance out everything can be difficult. So I want to make sure if anyone who works with me one-on-one can get the support that they need, but you'll always be supported in our private community. I hope you enjoyed the masterclass. If you have any questions that I can answer for you, please share your questions in the comments. And I'm also going to share the link for our live monthly Healthcare Leader to Healthcare Consultant Masterclass. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so I can keep you in the loop of new videos about healthcare consulting. And also share this with someone who would find this information informative. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Take care.